Alright, real quick and easy how to go through mushrooms. There's a few ways that you can kind of chop them up. I'll show a couple different ways to give you different consistencies. You could use a small knife if you want to do larger chops. That just makes it easier. If you have a larger knife, it's fine. You can do them any way you want. I'm going to get rid of this, just to show you it's a little bit of an easier thing if you have a smaller knife. So real quick, if you're going to slice them, you have a couple things you can do. If you want to take out the stalk, you can. If you want to have nice big slices, that's fine also. If you want to take out the stalks, some of them have large enough stalks, like these type of mushrooms, where you can just pop them out. If you want to stuff mushrooms, that's how you can do that. So, just really simply, the way I do it, you have the stalk and the two sides. I usually start on one of the sides and just slice right down. Make sure that you're slicing. Try not to chop. The difference for that is you're letting the knife slice. You're not, like this is chopping, you know. Move the knife, let it slice it for you. And just nice and easy, slice them. You don't need to go fast. Once you get to this point where there's not really anything to grab, you grab this and switch sides, okay? And like that's a nice way to make some nice, easy sliced mushrooms if you want to do it that way. Let's say you want it a little bit finer. You can always do like a cross pattern. One of the big things to do whenever you're chopping something is try to find a flat surface. Mushrooms are pretty nice because they kind of come with their own flat surface. If it's a rounded thing, you might want to take like one of the ends and slice it off so you have something to set it on. But if you wanted to do something like a dice, what you could do is hold both sides. Again, watch your fingers. Normally I don't do it this way because I think there's better ways to do it. But if you want a nice clean dice, hold it loosely here because if you hold it too tight, then the blade's not going to be able to go through. Okay, nice and easy, and I'm holding it together for a reason. Try to pull away from yourself, that way, again, just trying to stay safe. Best practices. So once you go through this way, what you can do is it's all scored going this way, but then you just basically hold it and then you slice it as normal. And that'll give you some larger chunks if you need to. Now, if you need to go even larger or even smaller than that, again, just watch your fingers. You need to go even smaller than that, then you can start with this, you can start with that, however you want to do it. I just say if you're going to go super small, just give it some nice quick slices through it all. And then, afterwards, this is what the larger knife helps with. And a lot of times you'll see the Eastern style knives where they're straight. That's not what you want, usually. The straight knives are for very specific things. What you want is kind of, I believe it's a German-style knife. Most knives and kitchen knives are going to be like this, where it's curved, not just a straight blade. And the reason for that, you can do something very, very simple. So, you can just kind of rock the blade back and forth. And my fingers are entirely out of the way. This is really safe and easy. And I mean, you can kind of just go down to as much as you want. If you want to, you can kind of go like this, which is a little bit of a chopping motion, just until you kind of get it started. Again, fingers completely out of the way. Make sure they're straight so you won't have them anywhere near. Just kind of group them together when you need to. And then once they get down to a much finer consistency, then you can start to do the rock chop. And I mean, you could do kind of that very kind of like cross chop thing, and that'll get it pretty small. But I mean, with this, the power of this is you can get this down almost to a puree. If you got it down small enough, you could even use salt and drag it across and get it as small as you want. And yeah, food processor is nice if you're going to do large quantities of it, but it's really not necessary. You saw I did that in only a few minutes. And that'll work with like larger quantities of it too. Like you don't need to do that with just one mushroom. Last thing, just to show that it works on smaller ones. Again, normally you'd want a smaller knife if it's a smaller mushroom. Just makes it a little bit safer and easier. But, nice and easy. Just remember that when you're doing smaller mushrooms, you don't need to do that many slices. Like this one I probably didn't even need to do, but I did show it. Last thing, you can do some mushrooms, or some recipes say quarter it, and that's pretty simple. Just straight through, turn it, straight through. That's nice for things like a coq au vin, or if if you need something a little bit bigger to kind of eat. As far as prep, some people say you scrub them. I don't believe in that. They say like you waterlog them if you wash them. I think if you're washing them for like 30 seconds just to wipe off this stuff, you can do that. Some people peel the first layer. I don't think that's necessary either. Again, it just depends on what you want to do. But that's how I handle mushrooms. Real quick, just as a side note, this is something that a lot of people know, but I'll just show it. Onion. Very, very fast, and since you go through a lot of onions, whether you're vegetarian or not, best way to do it I found. That's simple and fast. So you have your stock. Again, make a flat surface. This thing's going to roll all over the place. So the best way to make a flat surface, boom. You got your flat surface right there. Okay? Let me throw this away. Now this is the root. Okay? And this is what helps to have a nice knife. And this won't blunt your knife. You could always get like a sharpening or a honing stone if you need to. But right into the root. Okay? And we're just going to, again, let the knife do the work. You know, don't try to, hack at it or whatever. Just nice and easy through it. The reason we go through the root, this is honestly the hardest part that I have, is peeling the onions to get the initial skin off. Just to make sure I get nice, clean pieces of onion. So if you got a tip for that, then awesome. But I have to wash those before I use them. But once you got that peeled, the reason why we keep on the root is this keeps everything together. So I mean, if you want to slice some onions, if you want to slice some onions, you can just go straight across. Don't cut through the root, cut up to it, and then you can hack it off. But a lot of people, they have trouble dicing an onion. There's a bunch of ways you can do this. And what you want to do is slice, but don't go all the way. Make it so that it gets held by a small, thin layer. And I mean, using this, it's a lot easier to control how large you're going to make your things. I'm going to make them a little larger than like a super fine dice. But I mean, you can go as thin as you want with this, as long as you have the knife control and the confidence and stuff. But so from here, everything's together. See, like, it's not going to fall apart. And it's still held by the root and the little thin layer of things there. You could go straight down, and that would give you kind of a rough chop. If you want to go for a dice, you can go 1 or 2. Secret to this, just make sure you're going slow again. A lot of times I like to angle down just to make sure, because, I don't want to slice my fingers up. But you can go 1. Watch your fingers. Pull out. 2. And I mean, this is going to give you a pretty decent dice. If you need to go finer than that, you can use the rock chop also. And then just... And again, remember to try to slice, don't chop. Now, once you start getting to the end where it kind of starts fraying out, you could keep going. I have trouble holding it at that point, so what I'll do, I'll knock it over onto a flat edge. Kind of get rid of that stuff that's rounded, so I get a nice flat area to chop on again. That's a really quick, easy way to dice an onion. I mean, you can go all the way to the root. I usually stop about there, because there's not much left on there. But yeah, mushrooms, onion. Figured you could use the onion because that's something that you're going to do a lot of. So yeah.